we talking about, you said work husbands, work wives.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You doing house calls.
Absolutely.
Constance got a work husband.
You got a work
have a work
husband?
husband.
What's a work husband though?
You.
What's a work husband?
Me.
Oh, because y'all work together.
Now, I will say this.
Hey, that's messed up. 'Cause I
Recording
forgot.
right now?
I forgot that y'all actually work in the same
work
office.
together.
But there's this guy that every time he comes around, he'll drop whatever he's doing around campus. He calls to come around and will bypass my office, go straight to hers, and Constance laughing.
Laughing and kicking and ha-ha.
So I can see every area, every square inch of that building I can see from right behind me.
Hold on.
Chica.
Chica.
So I just laugh with it because it gets stuff done for us.
Yeah, you let it roll.
Hey yo,
So-
call your boy, see if he can put together this video.
So you saying you use it to your advantage?
I need it done by Monday.
That's
man.
a little pimpish.
That is what it is.
you boy. Well,
Old habits die hard.
So okay, so you said work husband is you. You know what I'm saying? I heard Amy's talk about work. I don't know, something sounded a little interesting over there.
I have men that I work with, colleagues, and they will like bring food, or if I need something put together at work or something, they do it.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, and I also have a male friends.
Yeah.
I have male friends.
See now,
But
that's
I give a masculine energy, so like I don't.
That's interesting.
I don't give the energy like I'm like approachable in that way. So men don't approach me in that way because I don't give that like I'm not.
So you saying you give more of you said a masculine,
I got a masculine energy.
So you saying that attracts male friends?
I think I give a nurturing one. So
Yes.
like I often draw guys, but I'm more of like I either feel motherly or I feel like bigger little sistery. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm very, I don't know. I feel like I give a nurturing energy.
Constance is a hugger.
I am.
She hugs.
And she gets
Constance is
great
definitely a hugger.
She will
She'll give some hugs.
She gives
I
great
love
hugs.
hugging.
She does.
But from a nigga standpoint, right? I'm like,
Do you gotta hug everybody?
like that.
I don't even like this person.
You gotta squeeze everybody in.
Yeah, man,
You
that's
had
a
to
bit
give him
much.
a hug.
You gotta be.
And she gives passionate hugs.
You gotta, right.
You know
It's a
what I'm
little
saying?
You
sweet.
feel
It can be
very
taken.
loved.
It can be taken the wrong way.
Absolutely.
No, that's
You
a
know
real
what I mean?
thing. Yeah.
So I'm like that, and it's good. It's good because I'm there. So
Right.
there's no
You're always around, yeah.
right. So there's no I'm feeling some type of way about it. It's never that. But it's always. It's not that I don't trust her. I know niggas.
Yeah. He always
Right.
thinking something.
Absolutely.
We always got a motive. It's always a motive.
Mr. Facilities is not coming over there for no reason.
Exactly.
He's
Right.
coming over there for one of those hugs.
Exactly. There you go. So I'm very. I stay playing stupid.
Right.
That's my thing.
Right.
I'm gonna always play dumb.
Right.
And I'm like, really? Okay, man. What's going on, man? Good to see you, man. All right. Hey, man. How's the family, man? Good.
But that hand squeeze is a little hard every now and then. I'm going to squeeze your hand to death.
There was a time where I had to check a dude. You remember that?
I'm trying to remember.
The dude who used to cut,
Allegedly.
who used to allegedly cut hair.
Allegedly.
He allegedly cut hair. And what?
Oh, she's having selective
Yeah,
memory.
she don't recall this, dog.
I'm like, what?
Go ahead and tell the story.
So it was this dude, man, and he used to contract at the sheriff's office or whatever.
But
But he also went to the church. And I just felt like he was very, very friendly. And he's from where I'm from. So, and I know his history. He's a little older than us. He may be 48 now or something like that. You know what I mean? So he came up in the, class of 97, 98.
Gotcha.
Type
Okay, hold on.
He's
No.
Can't be not.
I'm 98.
I'm 98.
So
like
he's not 50.
95, 96.
95.
Yeah.
like
trying to play.
93.
Yeah, one of them.
Yeah.
Whatever.
It doesn't matter.
It's like
But-
7 years.
Yeah. So, what the biggest thing was just, I started feeling some type of way because we talk about somebody that says he was a popular dude back in the day.
Right.
But she doesn't know that. I know that.
Mm.
So he's like, who was the big quarterback for Banneker back in the day? Not Pete.
No. He
Drakus. Not
Oh
the
no, you're talking
quarterback.
about Drakus Langford.
Yeah.
But no, there was one before that. He actually coaches at LaGrange College. It was Barkley Howard's brother. Oh man, what is his name? He went to University of Georgia.
Somebody
He was the
dope.
truth.
But he was one of those
Right.
guys. Right? So I'm looking, and he still looks that way.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? He stays,
right.
He's still in the game.
So, and Constance is naturally a So it got to the point one day, and this was early in ministry. I think I was still operating. No, was I youth pastor?
I don't think so.
I think it was still over operations or something like that. And he came up I was like, man, today's the day. I can't bite my tongue. I've been all politically correct for the church's sake. And I'm trying not to embarrass Pops. You know what I'm saying? So I go out there, I say, hey, bro, man, I need to talk to you, man. And it's to the point where I'm trying to be, I'm not trying to fight, but everything in me wants to.
Gotcha.
So I'm trying to suppress that.
'Cause you
and
felt
just have
disrespected?
I felt disrespected.
Okay.
And I felt like he knew what he was doing and he was trying to do something I would have done back in the day.
So let me ask this.
Right.
You said you felt disrespected. What specifically made you feel disrespected?
It was the interactions. It was the small things.
Okay, so he worked under me.
Mm-hmm.
And so he had to report to me about his work. So the communication started, I guess it became more frequent because I had to discuss pay, I had to discuss workload and all of that. But out of that started more conversations, which, I mean, definitely not my type. So that's why when he started feeling some type of way, I'm just like I don't see it, I don't feel it. But hearing his perspective, you know what I'm saying? Like, you're looking at it from the dude's eye, like, yeah,
From a
nigga, I got
Jonesboro
you.
standpoint.
Oh my.
So
He's saying I looked at it that way, but
Greenwood.
he looked at it from a College Park standpoint.
Right.
Like, I'm a College Park nigga, Southside
like, I know
nigga.
this
Like,
nigga.
I know what he's doing, but I'm
Right.
like, but it ain't gonna happen because I'm not interested. I don't want it.
But it's
You know
not
what I mean?
from a man's perspective.
And
We
that's
don't
the thing.
care whether it's going to happen.
No.
We just care about
Don't
the
try me.
disrespect. Right.
Don't
It's
try me.
disrespectful.
And that would be the difference.
And with me, I felt like if I take it there, I'm going to take it there.
Right.
Yeah.
And I'll lose
So I need to stop it
everything.
immediately.
Yeah.
Because there's no, we just had little. No, I'm going to.
Like B say, there's no on and off.
Right.
I mean,
I'm
all
going
the way
to
on
catch
and
an
off.
That's it.
aggravated assault, attempted murder charge.
Right.
So let me ask this then. Where do we feel the balance is with opposite sex interactions with spouses? Like, where's the balance in it? Are we good? Are we good with our spouses being friends with opposite sex? Are we good with wives having male friends? Or Amy saying she got friends at work? How you feel about that, Jay? I don't know. You know what I'm saying?
I
So
mean,
how do
so,
we balance that?
I don't have an
Like,
issue.
how do you deal with that? Like, because you're in the industry, so
Oh,
you're
yeah.
having to constantly be around
Yeah,
males.
yeah.
Yeah.
In the studio, it could be just you and a male.
And now here's the
Oh,
thing.
man.
Here's the thing.
Anointing is
It's always
attractive.
been
It's
that.
so attractive.
Here's
Yeah.
the thing. Now that's a huge thing.
Yeah.
Because with her being a singer, and this is before our transition, before we came to church.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, we were mainstream. So we were in clubs, we were in studios late night.
Right.
We were, you know what I'm saying? She was at a top producer's house here in Atlanta at 3 a.m.
Yeah.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So
Without you,
I wasn't there. It was her and her mother, which is still,
right, I got you.
you know what I'm
Two
saying?
women. It's
Yeah.
two women.
It's two women there.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, you know, I had to get to a place of being able to cope in the profession we're in.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And understanding, okay, well, she understands my boundaries. She understands what I feel. She understands, you know, she has boundaries. She has morals. I have to trust her morals. You know what I'm saying? I got to trust what she do. I got to trust her character. Because there's been times, you know, there's been times where things was a little rocky, a little shaky. But I had to grow to that point. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? It wasn't automatic. That's
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
So my question in that would be, I think the biggest thing about men and a misconception about men is that we lack that discernment, that intuition, that womanly intuition. Men have it too. So I think if you catch a vibe or you know, like Ant was just saying about his situation, him knowing, even though Constance didn't see it, he knows what was going on because his intuition is going off. Same with you. If she's around a producer or a writer or anybody that your intuition is going to go off if something is not right. And it ain't on her.
Definitely.
You're most definitely feeling the vibe from the guy. They're going to tell the story. So I think with me, I've never gotten any type of intuition or nothing is rang off about anybody she's been around. Now, I can't say that I've been around all the guys she's been with. She works with a lot of people, so I would never know that. But I'm also watching her and I'm paying attention to her. If her vibe is changing, then I know. So she's always the same. She remains the same. She's consistent in everything she does. So it never makes me say, "Oh, this is happening" or "that is happening," because I'm getting the same Amy every single day. So I'll never be okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll never have a problem with her having male friends or male coworkers. She can have all the male friends. I don't even want them to come around me like that. Like, I don't need to know them.
Right.
I don't, because I'm big on my privacy. I'm big on my space, and so I'm good with that. I know she has one friend that I do know, cool guy. They've been friends for years. When we were having some issues, he was around. He never tried her. He actually helped her work through some things, and so I'm forever grateful for him.
So that's the thing, though. A lot of times people say, when we confide in other people outside of our relationship emotionally, that's where the seed is planted. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So you said
emotional adultery.
Yeah. It's an emotional thing. So that's a big statement you just made. So how did you work through that, or how do you look at that?
We weren't together, so we had a separation period in our marriage.
Okay.
So during that time, I didn't care what she was doing. And, I'm not going to, let me take that back. I cared what she was doing, but I was doing me.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming that she's doing
Big
her.
point.
Right.
So at the end of the
It's
day,
different when you're doing your own thing.
when I'm doing my thing, so she's doing her
And let's
thing.
remember, I'm tit for tat.
She is very tit for tat.
So if he was doing him,
She's doing her right. So I'm not.
definitely.
I can't. My mind won't even allow me to work that way.
I said, definitely.
That's an edit.
That's definitely
Right. So
that's definitely a clip.
right. But because of where we are in our marriage and because of who we are and how we bounce back from that, crazy time in our lives, she has carte blanche to do what she wants to do. I trust her fully.
Right.
She can do her thing because I know at the end of the day, she's coming home to me.
So you saying it is a trust thing?
Most definitely.
So
gotta be.
Oh, definitely.
Oh,
So
for sure.
it's the-
I would agree. It definitely has to be a trust thing. And I think that even like in the early stages of our marriage, one thing I can say is that like I've been through a great deal of things. We've been through a great deal of things together, but one of the things I didn't really second guess or feel any type of way about is him around his baby mama. Now that particular thing, I did not have any qualms about his feelings toward her in that regard. Now some of the exes I had to work through, and I'm different. I'm built different, and I realized that, and I think that I had to kind of program my mind differently just because of the way our dynamic is set up. Like we grew up together and we literally work in the same atmosphere where we grew up. So like
that's a lot of crossed lines.
And all the lines
Lord.
I'm constantly like faced on a reoccurring basis with his past. You know what I'm saying? So I had to say to myself, like, am I going to be able to deal with this? Like, if I choose to go forward with this, you know what I'm saying? Like, before we got married, like, would I be able to deal with it? And then once we got in, I had to kind of settle some things inside of myself. You know what I'm saying? Because I did find myself getting very jealous.
Yeah.
And the intuition signs were dinging.
Wow.
Because I'm like, I know because of who he is, I'm like, I already know. Like, moms is trying to set up little situations, and
Wow.
you know how women do. They be trying to
Absolutely.
set up on your man, and I'm like, I'm not an idiot, but I had to really I think things change when I settle something inside of myself to say, you know what I'm saying, like, I'm good enough. You know what I'm saying? And I know what I bring to the table.
Yeah.
So I had to look at it like, if he chooses to do whatever, it's because that's what he wanted to do.
Right.
But I'm not going to stress, lose no sleep. I'm not sneaking in your phone. I'm not, I can't be her. You know what I'm saying? If you going to do something with, you know, if you're talking to a girl and you decide to go or whatever, do whatever with them, it's because you wanted to. It ain't nothing that I'm lacking. You know what I'm saying? That's something inside of you. And so I just kind of had to be okay with, I'm enough. And I know what I bring to the table. And if he makes a decision to mess what we have up, then I'll just take my greatness elsewhere. You know what I'm saying?
That's a huge. You made like a huge statement. You said, "I'm
definitely a
enough."
huge statement.
Like it's something internal that you had to come
I had to.
Yeah.
So, and then you brought up the fact that, well, we're all blended families in here.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So we all have had some type of interactions with whether
An
it's
ex.
baby daddy, baby mama.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So you said you had to settle some things in yourself concerning that, like dealing with baby mama and all that. So how have some of us dealt with that? You know what I'm saying? I know me personally, our dynamic was different because we were here in Atlanta and her baby daddy was up north somewhere. So I never had to deal with him
Gotcha.
On a regular
basis.
basis.
You know what I'm saying?
Right,
So
absolutely.
that dynamic was different.
That
You know what I'm
changed
saying?
because I had the same dynamic.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
y'all's dynamic was similar to that.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah. We lived in Atlanta. He was up north. There was never a opportunity for us to even have to deal. And when we finally did deal, I was so secure in my marriage and who I was. I knew my wife, and I knew she realized where she wanted to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It didn't matter to me.
Yeah.
It didn't matter.
Now I will say we've just had some. That's why I said our thing is just different.
Speak
man.
on it.
Like, because again, our worlds kind of intertwine so deeply, and so you have the baby mama. Have to see her. We had to see her on a regular basis, and we had to shift our dynamic of how we interacted. You know what I'm saying? So we got to the point where we would allow her to come over to the house. You guys have been a part of those, family
Yeah.
gatherings.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Hey,
We were there.
y'all did that thing in a way. It was
was
people. Hey, it was people on
But
our side of
I
the family
admired it.
asking like, "Who's who?"
Right.
Like,
I
now
did
they knew who
admire
wife
it.
was. You know what I'm saying? But I'm just saying,
Right.
But that takes a lot of strength.
man,
Yeah.
what?
You got to take your hat off to both of y'all because
Phew.
that's a lot of strength in that.
Yeah.
Because and it's healthy.
Yeah.
It gets to a certain extent. It's healthy.
Yeah.
Because when your kids see you guys interacting in such a positive way, it affects them in
It's
a
a
positive way.
seed.
Yeah.
For sure. It's a
And
seed.
that's what we were going for. And I think that's what we had to keep as the nucleus of the why. And I appreciate that Anthony really early on, we had all of the bumps early on in our marriage so that when we got to the point where we allow her to come in so far in,
Right.
we were secure within ourselves. So it's not like I'm.
But how did y'all? Okay, so see, we got to go deeper, man. We got to go deeper. We tap dancing. We tap dancing right now. We
Sounds
hearing
like a lot of allegedly.
like because the people watching, they like, okay, so they brought this dynamic close in. It was some things that. So what is that? Y'all got to talk about it, man. Go.
So close in. So we got to the point where we would allow her to come to family functions. So we involved her in family functions because our older boys, which is their older boys, they would have they like being around their family. Like they love
Yeah,
on
of
her
course.
end, they are very family oriented.
Absolutely.
And I give that to them. They're really about family. Thing is, we're really big about family. So when you have two families who are really big about families, and then when special holidays come or certain events come, it's like, how do you make sure that those two are included in the family dynamic? We got to bring the family. So it's like, bring your family to the 4th of July. You know what I'm saying? Brian
Yeah.
gonna be on the grill. You know what I'm saying?
Go be kidding
Like,
it.
You know what I'm saying?
my baby mama called her baby mama.
Right.
We hadn't had to have a lot of interaction because our kids are grown now.
Right.
Right.
One's 21, one's 19, and an 8. So it hadn't been a lot of interaction because there was no need for it. But when we had to, there was we wanted to create a sense of family for the boys
Yeah.
and for our younger kids, because it's like when they get older, they know it's like it's all intertwined.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And we just, there's no handbook for it, so we just tried to make the best out of a lot of bad situations that we created initially, but had to, let's turn this thing into lemonade. Doing that,
Ooh, child.
we created some, like Brian said, when you said the difference between putting up fences and putting up boundaries. We put up a lot of, we didn't have any boundaries.
Yeah.
Right.
And it was all for the sake of love for the kids,
Wow.
for the fam. You know what I mean? We wanted to have that family dynamic, and we didn't want to rob them of that. And we seen the results of division.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, over here we get to do this, but over here we don't get to do this. So it's like after we learn, okay, well, this situation taught us this. Learn from it, keep it pushing. This situation taught us this. Learn from it, keep it moving. Before you know it, they grown and gone, and we ain't got to do that no more.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Right.
it's like, we pray we made the right decisions. I'm certain I've made a lot of wrong decisions, even with the boys, but not just with that, but with how I
The
was
dynamic.
allowing so much, what's the word? Inclusivity? Is that a word?
Inclusiveness. I would say inclusiveness, Jay.
I think that's right.
Inclusive.
Would you say inclusive?
Inclusivity is a word.
Inclusivity?
Yeah, inclusive.
I mean, that's probably a word, but inclusiveness will probably.
Yeah, we're gonna go with inclusiveness probably.
So inclusivity. So
You're talking exclusivity.
Here we go. All right.
Exclusivity is more what you're trying to, but it's inclusiveness.
That's what you're looking for, inclusiveness, for sure.
Oh, inclusive.
Ah,
Yeah. Yeah. You're right.
Okay.
So yeah. So
So
Carry on.
I think I forgot what I was saying.
oh no.
But see, when I think about like watching and witnessing you guys do that. I know there are pros and cons to that. You know what I mean? Like if I think about it, even from our dynamic, that when you don't think about when they're adults. You know what I mean? Like especially for us because our son's bio was not in his life like that. You know what I'm saying? So when you think about identity and seeing yourself and being around, seeing the family that is raising you, that loves you so dearly, be accepting to, who you are, in a sense, So I think some of that was definitely necessary. I think that you'll probably see a lot of that as they get older, as they really start thinking and living life and understanding like real sacrifice is involved in that.
Right.
Real love is involved in that.
Right.
Like real like even
Appreciation to
now.
show up for that.
Like even the things that Brian was able to show Keon, even though his bio wasn't present, Brian has always kept an open door even for our son. You know what I'm
See
saying?
now, okay.
Because he's always communicated a certain way
So here's the
instead of
thing.
like
Here's
just
the
a
thing.
complete shut off.
Well, hold on.
The
Before you get into
reason-
that, I just got a question. Were you communicating with Bio, or were you communicating?
So
It was like neither.
well, no, but
that's
but
real.
no, but it's a real thing.
Right.
No, here's the thing though, because what's interesting about it is he wasn't specifically involved very much, but his mom was.
Yeah.
So in my
who he had a
world,
relationship with.
that's still representation.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
right.
So that's still, there were times, it was a lot. I had to grow out of insecurity dealing with that. You know what I'm saying? Because dealing with his side of the family was still a representation of somebody trying to pull him a certain way.
Yeah,
You know what I'm
yeah,
saying?
yeah,
Because
yeah.
they were definitely trying to
Most
manipulate. They were definitely
Definitely.
trying to infiltrate.
Absolutely.
They were definitely painting a picture of me that wasn't accurate.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
And
Even
you're
though,
mindful of it.
and I was very mindful of it. And the thing is, and because I was
Probably
so
overly mindful.
I was so mindful of it, because I was so mindful of it, I was on guard all the time.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because
Right.
everything that I was doing was scrutinized, everything was picked apart, everything, and then there was fabrications made, like straight up lies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So imagine
You know what I'm saying?
being that way on a consistent basis
Yeah.
for 18 years,
That's major.
20 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
You know
a
what I'm
lot.
saying? So we had to maneuver through that part. And that's a
That's a
major
lot of
part.
maneuvering.
That's a
I'm a-
lot of sacrifice.
Yeah.
I'm a man's man who compromised in ways that I wouldn't normally compromise for something that I wouldn't normally have to compromise for.
Right.
Because that's unnatural to have to compromise for children in that way.
Right.
Right.
It's against the order. You know what I'm saying?
Because there's so many violations.
Right. So I'm very, hey, have sex when you get married. I know that's not realistic, but I really try to push there's consequences on the other side. You won't be 16 forever.
Right.
You will one day be 25 years old, and based off of the 10 minutes that you took advantage of, and ooh, fun, turns into wah,
Well, the other
you
conversation with that is like you just said, realistically, that's not, most kids are not looking to
They're
wait.
not waiting.
So you have to preach protection,
That's it, bro.
protection,
That's it.
protection.
That's what he's always preached.
Protection.
Protection.
I've always preached that.
Because the thing is with me is I've always told Keon, I said, listen, man, one thing you don't want to do, you don't want to get caught in the rain.
Yeah.
Don't get caught in the rain. But if you are in the rain, you better have an umbrella.
There you go.
Listen,
There you
you
go.
might find yourself in the rain. I'm not going to say you're not going to be in the rain because the
Right.
rain falls, especially in the military. In the military, the rain falls. But
much
you
rain.
make sure that you have an umbrella when you do.
Please.
Yeah.
Period. You know what I'm saying?
But the other side of that is for the girls. I know as fathers, it's a hard conversation to have with your daughters,
Ooh.
but you better have the conversation with your daughter. And I thank God that, Amy was around to guide that conversation and say, hey, you got a future ahead of you. You're going to college. You're doing this. We don't want any slip ups. What are we doing?
Yeah.
So you saying Amy led on that conversation, or did you chime in at all, or how
I
did that
stayed
go?
out of that. Now she, again, transparency between me and her, kept me, and she didn't tell me right away. I had to find out like a while later.
Yeah.
But as long as I knew, because I was concerned, like, man, I hope and I pray this is not going on. And she finally was like, well, Jason, you don't have to worry about that because of A, Y, A, B, C, D.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got
Wow.
her birth control.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
She made that happen.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Because we have transparent conversations with our children.
I went to money
Yeah.
before college to go get birth control. So because she's, on birth control, and then, I'm not a talker. I just like,
Let's make this happen.
let's make it happen. We're gonna make an appointment.
Let's
gonna
go.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's what we did. It wasn't a sit down.
Got
It
you.
wasn't
having
a heart to
sex?
heart.
Got you.
Yeah, it
It was,
wasn't none of that.
we're
You'll
going to get
figure
birth
it out.
control.
Right.
You'll
I
realize
see,
it's
I
not
see
all,
something's happening here.
Right. It's not all that it's cracked up to be. Like,
Let's go get this. Let's
It's
go
my
make this
intuition
Right.
showing up,
It's,
and
it's going off crazy.
I'm not going to
yeah.
give
Let's
you
go
an
to the doctor.
option.
What your
Right.
mama
Sock
pulled you?
oh
She
my
pulled
gosh,
her
she
out of
pulled me out of
basketball
basketball practice.
Let's go.
Let's go get this.
to
Let's
the
go make
Straight
this
to the
happen.
doctor. Straight to the doctor for
Man.
birth control.
I don't think my parents ever they didn't have the protection conversation because they were at the time religion was so
There you go.
embedded.
Ooh.
You know what
There
I'm
you go.
saying?
Tough.
In religion,
We in the
it's
same
just no sex, no sex, no sex.
Yep.
So
And
they
that
didn't even
was-
want to bring it up. Like, they ain't even, they
Because
just like,
in their mind, which we have learned since then, but in their mind, to say that is like I am giving you
Condoning it.
permission,
Yep.
and I'm
Condoning it.
and
Yep.
they just would not. And it's, so
Wow.
it's just like no sex. Premarital sex is no fornication. Premarital fornication. Like,
Right.
they're gonna shove it down your throat. Why am I 11 talking about no fornication? Like
Right,
spell
right,
it. You know what I'm
right,
saying?
right.
how you spell it?
Right.
But
I think-
that's what was embedded in our minds. So we had to adjust with our kids to then have the realistic conversations.
The
Because
realistic conversation.
My parents told us about the no sex, but guess what?
Yeah, it's gonna happen.
We would get into it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And then the strange part, and I think I mentioned this before, but the strange part about it is when I had the after effects of being sexually engaged, my mom was very present. Like she knew exactly what to do. She's like, okay, so we need to go see your gynecologist, because I'm like, something's changing down here.
Right.
What's going on? We're going to the doctor. It's like she was very aware, but she just couldn't bring herself to have the before
You
conversation.
think that was because of your dad?
It may have been. Strongly.
What is that?
Strongly
What's that
attached.
dynamic? What?
Because my dad was the leader of our family, which he was very heavy in the church. He was a pastor. If he wasn't a pastor, he was assistant pastor, the youth pastor. He was always a pastor.
No.
And so being a pastor's wife,
Yeah.
you know, it would be strange to have conversations with your kids that insinuated you were condoning sexual activity.
I wonder just I'm glad you spoke on that. I wonder if we was to have a conversation with our parents now, would they consider that a mistake?
Absolutely. We've had the conversation.
Have you? See, I've never had that conversation with my parents because, again, my mom, she most definitely preached abstinence and with abstinence all the while. We're doing everything under the sun.
Get into it.
Mama, you're
Like
wasting your breath.
professionals.
But my dad, I don't remember him having an abstinence conversation. He just stayed quiet. He didn't want to disrespect my mother by talking to me about it behind her back. So he said nothing. So my go-to, and I always talk about it, was my uncle. My uncle was my big brother in a sense. And that's who I talked about.
Sex dude.
There you go. I was able to have transparent conversations with my uncle because my parents weren't prepared for that. But I wonder, I'm gonna actually ask my mom and dad, like, do you guys ever regret not having that conversation?
Yeah.
So that's
My
something to think
parents
about.
That's a lot,
That
man.
would be an interesting conversation.
They have admitted to wishing they would have been more transparent
About that.
Yeah, for
Absolutely.
sure.
Well, because they weren't, we definitely,
We're
like,
so transparent.
our kids, share a lot with us.
Oh, yeah.
And that stuff.
Yeah.
And we
Overshare.
talk about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But oversharing, that's a great. That's what you want with your kids.
Oh,
though.
absolutely. I
You want an
enjoy it.
oversharing relationship.
Do
Yeah.
you want them to?
She doesn't want to overshare. I'm listening, hanging on to every word.
Right, me
Well,
too.
you know what? It is a thin line, Amy, because
I don't
you
wanna
know,
know.
because when I'm thinking about my babies, my daughters,
Right.
Do you
Right.
really want to know? No.
It's like
Well,
you do, but you don't.
ultimately,
Because if you don't, then you
I ultimately
don't know
do
how to
want to
move.
know.
I think
But
for men
But you got to
and
cringe with.
sons, it's different.
It is.
But for men and daughters,
Yeah,
it's
for sure.
different as
I
well.
can see that.
So with my sons, hey, we can talk about ain't nothing we can't talk about on this table.
Yes,
So
sir.
Amani, go see your mother.
yes, sir.
Yeah.
But because there are certain things that you need to go to your mama about. Because there's certain
Absolutely.
things that as a, I know where to chime in as the man.
Right.
But
Me too.
as the daddy, I want you to talk to your mama about certain things. I want your mama to help you with that
There
because
you
it's
go.
important for you to connect to that female
Yeah.
nurturing and wisdom.
boundaries,
And
too.
boundaries.
And
Absolutely.
boundaries.
I agree.
Because I think daughters naturally create boundaries when
They
it comes
do.
to like the daddy daughter boundaries.
do.
Like we're kind of watching our girls as they're getting older. They went from they don't care to walk around the house after they've got out of the shower and stuff up until now. Dad, close the door.
Yeah.
That was this big.
Hold on, Daddy, I'm getting dressed.
Look at me.
Children,
Okay, well,
close the door.
why are you standing in my room? That's Taylor.
Right.
That's Taylor.
She'll be standing in his room. She'll be like, Dad, turn around.
And I'm like, oh my gosh. And so she go just do her thing. I gotta sit here like this the whole TV.
Right. Now Dad's
That's
like,
real though. That's real.
you know what I mean? But that's something that they, you know what I'm saying? They just kind of like, maybe it's time. I don't know.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I feel like as they age, they kind of automatically,
But also,
But
as a
create
father,
that.
you assist in those boundaries.
Yeah.
Hey, baby.
yeah, because
Close
he
your
says some
legs.
things.
Absolutely.
Yeah, he does say
Legs,
some things.
Don't
yeah.
after a certain time, like it after a certain age, I wasn't bathing Amani.
Yeah.
You know, things like that.
Yeah.
That's your mother's job.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna tell you, with you guys is dynamic. You got to realize too that she is getting a lot from her older sister.
Mhm.
So that right there is
Oh, yeah,
so
yeah,
the
yeah.
consciousness is coming from maybe big sis.
Yeah.
Like, hey, hey, close the door. You see I'm getting dressed.
Right.
That's a
Now
big
all of a
part,
sudden,
Jay.
she's like, oh,
That's a big part,
close the
Jay.
door.
Yeah.
Because we witnessing that.
Yeah.
I'm
We
witnessing
really are.
her
Absolutely. That's
pattern,
real.
her older sister. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Now she want to wear bras.
Absolutely.
Like, really?
Right, yeah. It's most definitely different.
That's what she said.
And you get an instant headache as
Wait,
a
but he
dad.
just goes, oh God.
Right.
Too much, man.
So,
Enjoy it now.
but it's I'm gonna go back to our first cruise we took the kids on. I'll never forget this.
Uh-oh.
We're on the cruise. my boy, they got all the freedom in the world. They doing their thing. They having a blast. So we leave the cruise. I mean, when I say we probably saw them once a day, and that was at dinner, they were running wild. Now at the time, Jay was what, about maybe 13? Was it that? Was he 13?
Yeah, because if Andrew
he had
was
to be 13 or 14.
14.
He had to be around that time. He was young. He wasn't old enough. He was too
Because
young
Andrew
to get
was
into the
18.
teenage club.
Okay.
So, they had like levels to the teenage club.
Wait, there's a
it's like
club on
11
the
to 13.
Everything on the
Oh,
cruise.
absolutely.
13 to
Everything.
15.
Oh wow.
And then 15 to 17, and then 18 and,
And
older.
there
he could
you
do
go.
whatever.
So he was
Yeah.
he had to be 14.
He had to be 14.
Because he couldn't get into the
To the
15 to 17 club. So, we're Jay is sneaking in the club every night to the point where the guy who's running the club knows me by name, pulls me to the side and said, "Hey, Mr. Coleman, could you please tell Jaden to stop sneaking in the,
Wow.
Jay didn't care about none of that.
Wow.
So we get off the cruise. Everybody had a blast. It was a great time. And we have a family group chat. And Jay is letting it fly.
Oh my God.
He's like, yeah, I met this girl, did this with her, yeah. And I'm just like, up. And then I remember Amy's on the group chat. She loses it.
This on the cruise.
This
when they got
after
so
home.
the
after we get home.
We're home,
Yes.
so they're just running down
It's a whole group chat.
the
Yeah, we had a great
activities.
time, Dad.
Right, this is what went down. I was with this, and I did this with this one, and I'm like,
I could never look at them the
You
same.
know your mama over here, right?
right. I said, hey,
Yo.
you know your mama on this group chat,
I
right?
was judging.
Me and her got
We got
into
into
it. She was mad at me for like 2. You condoning that mess, and I
Oh.
said, and I'm thinking to myself, am I a bad father for being proud of my son?
You are, yes.
So hold on, Jay. So what were you proud of, man? What were you proud of,
what I'm
Jay?
saying,
Yes.
One, I was proud because one,
What the heck?
Okay.
my son knew how to move in these streets. He understood
What is
how to
happening?
move.
He understood the assignment.
He understood the assignment. She was living. I'm like, and then he got an older brother, so his brother moving a certain type of way. At the time, I think Drew was 18.
18, so he was in the club with us.
He had found him a crew of friends, and I mean, everybody's just boom, boom, boom. They going different ways. Everybody's doing their thing.
Oh my goodness.
Oh gosh.
But hindsight is 20/20.
Yeah.
So now I understand. You know what? Part of me was proud. Another part of me was concerned.
Right.
Okay, so
All of me was concerned.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So what were your concerns with
Be
it then?
very concerned because he was so young. He was young and immature.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Young, immature, and I just was nervous. I was just nervous.
Right, because teenage pregnancy is real. Diseases are
No,
real.
diseases. Like,
Yeah.
let's take away the pregnancy.
Uh-huh.
Just diseases.
Yeah.
Like being able to handle it. No means no. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
that-
Wow.
you get what I'm
Wow.
saying?
All of the
Like,
dynamics.
all those dynamics ran through my head.
Yeah.
So I'm like, we failed as parents.
She's going through a bevy of emotions.
Yeah, I was in a bevy of emotions because I was like, we failed.
Oh,
like
my
you thinking
gosh.
you high fiving them because remember I could hear what he was saying back.
Yeah.
And they didn't remember
I forgot
that
she was in the
I
group
was
chat
in
as
this
well.
group chat. I was very
Jay went up and checked the
disappointed.
top of the box.
Right, I'm like, oh, shit.
He put that job.
Heart
I
emoji.
said,
Heart
you did
emoji.
what, boy?
High five emoji.
Right, and I'm like, and I think Amy might have chimed in, and I'm like,
Oh.
Yeah, I chimed in and was like, really?
right. Oh, man.
So
the
I just
whole-
felt
So
disrespected.
was that supposed to be the guys group chat? Is that what
It was like, I thought
Yeah.
we had a kid. I had a kid group chat.
Oh.
So he was
You know,
part
'cause I
of
remember we do our family.
Right,
you know,
right,
so-
right.
So he, and I wasn't a part
I didn't
of that.
realize that
Okay.
we had that they had posted it in the wrong group chat. I was
Ah.
like, hey man, I say, listen,
High
man,
But
five.
he was strong. It wasn't even Jay. He was strong arming all the boys. But I was like, okay, so Monty can do the same thing.
Oh.
So Monty can move the way these boys move, and you shouldn't say not a damn thing.
And I will
You
say
should-
every
because
damn
that That's a double standard.
And I
It
agree.
is.
And I didn't like
And it's
that.
legit.
Right.
And
I
it's
didn't like that
realistic.
because to me, Monty can move in these streets the same
Let
way.
me tell you
Man,
why
that
I
opens
feel
a whole
that way. Let me tell you
conversation.
why I
That is
feel
a
that
whole
way.
nother beast.
Because you know the saying is, and I know it might be, I understand it might not be politically correct, but it's mama's baby, daddy's maybe. And as men, the mothers typically always have the responsibility of the child. So I know if something was to happen and my daughter was to slip up and get pregnant, now we're taking care of a child because I'm not going to let her life change because of a mistake.
Well,
So let me ask this, though.
That's a little selfish
Yeah,
though.
I
thank
get
you.
it. I
Because then you allow your boys to then go and change another
Another
young
girl's
lady's
life.
life
I get it,
for
and,
the
and
same.
you're right. But the perspective of a man is totally different than the perspective of a woman. So, at my sons, I am preaching, hey, protect yourself. Make sure you're taking care of your business. Making sure we have conversations.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't think us as men, even when we were younger, thought on that level.
Yeah.
The ladies think totally different than us. Y'all have a different switch than we do. Like when it's time, I think we talked about this one time as men, when it's go time and somebody say pump the brakes, it's hard to stop that.
Right.
Because our switch is like,
Yeah.
we already there.
Yeah.
We've already played out in my mind everything we about to do.
Oh gosh.
We already talking about it back at the crib.
I'm already in the group chat about to tell my partners this is how it went down. So this is before anybody was touched.
Right.
So this is how our men mind works. So you're right. It is selfish. It's not
Yeah.
right. But I have to say, and me being transparent and authentic,
Yeah.
this is how we think.
So Jay, take the baby thing off the table when it
Gotcha.
comes to the young ladies.
Right.
When it comes to our daughters, take the baby thing all the way off the table.
Right.
Do we still feel that same motion when it comes to daughters versus sons?
That they can move in the streets.
That you know what I'm saying?
That-
Like
it
how does that
sexual
change?
liberty and freedom?
I will say the way that of course, me having an adult daughter, I was probably one of the most liberal fathers, and she can attest to that. Amani, I did not put clamps on Amani. Amani was able to talk to me. She was able to date. She was able to move. And it was because of her, because of the respect I have for my wife. And because just like you said, I would know that I would be a selfish man if I didn't do that and allow her to live her life just like I've allowed the boys to live theirs.
Right.
So I've always been, hey, you can date. You do your thing. Hey, sure, do your thing. And she would talk to me. Sometimes it'd be like chalkboard.
Right.
Nails on a chalkboard
Right.
sometimes.
Yeah.
But I had to respect it because of her, because of my wife.
Because I was gonna allow Monty to move
She was.
whatever way she wanted to move.
It'd have been a straight
So I'm
argument and battle
liberal.
if I did.
I'm liberal. I'm liberal, and I am a womanist, right?
No, most definitely. Feminist.
yeah, not a feminist.
So you said
I'm a
you said a
womanist.
womanist. So what's the difference between a feminist and a womanist?
Is cultural differences. A womanist, I feel like women can do whatever they want to do.
She's
They
most
can
definitely a
move
womanist.
the way, whatever they want to do. All women. Feminist was brought about by Caucasian women, and we weren't included, right? Black women weren't included in the feminist movement.
Wow.
We weren't included. They didn't include us. So and this is in the 60s, guys. So
Wow.
this is just history.
Right.
Read a book if you don't agree. Read a book. So when I say womanist,
That's right.
just read a book. You ain't got to disagree. You ain't got to say nothing.
You talking to the people in the
I'm just
comments.
talking to the people. Yeah.
In them comments.
In the comments.
Comments get real.
Yeah. Just read a book. So the feminist movement, we weren't included in that movement. So because we weren't included in it, I'm not going to associate myself with that.
Okay.
Now it may be something different now in 2023. So I say womanist. So I am all allowing my daughter to move the way she wants to move, and however that is, and it's up to her. But it's consequences to the way you move.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
See, that's the thing.
Yeah, so
The consequences.
But there's also rewards.
it's consequences to the way you move. So I I don't say much. Like, I don't pry into my kids' life. They tell me what they want me to know, and I'm okay with that. Like, I'm good with that. Don't want to be in it either. I want them to kind of make mistakes.
Yeah, of course.
Absolutely.
Like, make mistakes, figure it out on their own.
Make them early.
And make them early.
early.
Yeah, so then they not older making those mistakes, and it looks foolish.
Like a weirdo.
Yeah, it looks foolish, right?
Hold it
Right. So yeah, so because of that, I allow Amani to be. And and I want her to be whatever, and that's whatever she want to be. So I am not going to I'm not going to dictate what a woman is, because a woman is many things.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
I choose to
Of
be
course.
married.
Yeah.
I choose to be in a monogamous relationship.
Right.
I choose to have children and be the
Right.
family, but I want her to choose whatever path it is.
And I think I've given that type of liberty when it comes to our son.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Because now I'm talking about the consequences part. I focused on the consequences.
Yeah.
I didn't necessarily say don't have sex.
Yeah.
But I did explain the gift of sex between a man and a woman and the gift of marriage. But if you're having sex outside of marriage, you got to know the consequences.
Yeah.
You could have a baby and then you end up with a life sentence.
Yeah.
And that's a real thing. I told him, you got to understand the consequences. You
Yeah.
touch that stove and it's hot,
Yep.
you going to burn that hand.
Yeah.
You touch it again, you didn't understand.
That's right.
Bars.
You know what I'm saying?
Hold on now. So y'all have a daughter as well.
Yeah.
So how do y'all move when it, in terms of
Riley.
right?
I think we're pretty liberal because of my walk. You know what I'm saying? Because of how I was brought up. And me and Anthony this is we're growing and evolving in how we're handling her as she's getting older. Because it's like each stage, as they're transitioning, you're having to kind of evolve how you're addressing it.
And now, are you saying that you're evolving like that based on her maturity, or based on like her behavior or her personality? Is
All
that
of it.
the evolution?
Everything.
All of it. But I just keep in mind, I personally keep in mind, I'm very empathetic. You know what I'm saying? So I remember she's 16. I remember 16-year-old me. She ain't
She's an
nowhere
angel.
close to 16-year-old me. So when she's exploring, when she's having conversations, I'm trying to find the balance, not to parent out of fear, but to parent to empower.
There
You know
you
what
go.
I'm saying? And so, between Anthony and I, we just want to be transparent. We want to empower and try to guide and instruct. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? I do encourage her to do stuff like have guy friends. You know what I'm saying? Because in high school, I had a few female friends and I had a slew of guy friends because the females called me names, but the guys either wanted to be with me and couldn't, or I was just the nurturing. That's my dog.
Girl.
You know what I'm
Right.
saying? And so I'm like, Riley, it's okay for you to have guy friends. It's okay.
And not make them your boyfriend.
And not
Right.
get everything don't have to be a sexual attraction. You know what I'm
Everything is
saying?
not all or none.
Right.
In a very
Right.
sexually driven
Society.
culture right now.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The climate right now is very sexually driven and freeing, and like it's almost like it went back to the hippie stage.
Like the 70s?
The 60s, 70s,
but-
Yeah.
You said hippies.
Yeah,
The hippie
one-
stage.
exactly.
We're very free.
What was that?
Free love.
What was? Yeah, there you go. Free love. There was a event that they. had back in the day.
Woodstock.
Woodstock. There it is.
Woodstock.
Mhm.
It seems like we're back there.
No, real deal.
It
But,
really has that vibe.
I think for me, one
So
of the
weird.
biggest things, just from with my professional background,
You're right, even with
seeing
the drugs.
everything that I see,
Everything.
Yeah.
from other people's families and counseling them, I try to make sure with the boys and even Riley that it was even playing field.
Right.
So what I did for one was going to be for the other as well. So I've always been accepting of Riley wanting to see other men and or wanting to
Boys.
date boys.
Yeah.
Right.
I remember she first kissed the dude, and I saw the video of it.
You saw a
How
video
you
of
see
it?
the video?
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh,
They
bro.
recorded
Everything
it
is
in
recorded.
the chorus room.
Yeah.
No!
On the
Wow.
inside, I felt some. I was enraged. It was a plethora of emotion,
Absolutely.
but I never showed it.
Yeah.
So, but I learned that from the professional
Your profession,
background. It's
yeah.
like, okay, I'm not going to go in on showing you how I feel. So my first response is everything.
Right.
So if you're out there and you're trying to figure out how to do it, fake it till you make it.
Right.
Make sure your first response, because how you respond on that initial one will dictate how they communicate to you in the future.
Or
And
if they communicate.
Or if they at all.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I always want to keep that level of communication.
So we saying that first response can either set
or
you
break it.
up for further communication with
Yep.
your children or shut it
shut it
down.
Oh, that's
Shut it
real.
down.
Oh, that's real.
Jeez.
That's
And they'll
super
tell
real.
you about it. They'll tell you like, yeah, or you'll hear from them like, I talk to my friends because I don't have nobody to talk to. And you're
Absolutely.
thinking, I'm right here.
That happened with me.
You're not included in my people to talk to. I don't-
Absolutely, because you don't know how to act, or
Right.
you're not empathetic to my needs,
Yeah.
and that is a real thing. Like I remember, I know this is all subject, but my mom, she was a big stickler on grades, and I never forget. I brought a paper home, and my mother's real big on grammar, so I gave her the paper. I wrote it. Back in the day, we used to write papers by hand.
Right.
So I wrote a paper, and when she gave it back to me, it had so many red marks that I knew I was going to have to do it over. That was the first and last time I ever let my mother look at a paper again.
Wow.
Because you didn't come to me and say, hey, erase this, do
Wow.
this, handle this
Right.
this way. You just
Tore it down,
tore it
kinda,
up,
yeah.
and now I have to go back and spend all this time rewriting this with mistakes. So I understand that goes the same way with your children. How you respond to what they're dealing with is going to show you, or is going to dictate how they communicate with you going forward. That is a real thing.
So watch
Yeah.
those red marks you put
Gotta
all
watch
over
the
their
red
life.
marks.
Oh, wow.
Do not.
You're marking up their life with this red
Man.
marker.
Yes, sir.
You got to
And
be
we can do
mindful of it.
sometimes without even being aware of it.
Absolutely.
Just based off of how we were raised, or based off of trying to teach. Another thing I know we look at as husband and wife parenting together is make sure that we empower all three parts of our children. So it's like you're a spirit, you possess a soul, and you live in a physical body.
Absolutely.
So I'm going to talk to you from your emotional standpoint. That's your soul. I'm going to talk to you from your spiritual standpoint. That's the word of God. And I'm going to talk to you from a physical standpoint. This is why you have an erection, son.
Right.
This is why you have that tingly feeling, baby girl. You understand what I'm saying? And I think with that, we've been doing that with them since they were
We started early.
like
Elementary school.
8, 9 years old. So with that, they're more. They're mindful of these things, but they may be in a situation where, man, I was about to, like one of our children came to us recently, and they went to a party, and they were able to articulate the spiritual part, the emotional part, and the physical part. Our impression or how we responded in that was, okay, very good. When they left, it was,
My
Right.
job.
Fist bump.
Wow.
We did
Wow.
our job.
Yeah, yeah. Because it was like when I entered the room, what I could see was people under the influence, and then how I felt was I did want to try. You know what I'm saying? But then how I moved was it was just like it was really empowering to see. I like the
it
way
was
you.
refreshing.
Yes, that's the word. It was refreshing to see how he was empowered enough to implement what
Because
we
you don't
have been
know.
teaching. You just kind of sewing,
listen,
and
Yeah.
I want to touch on this because man, I didn't know gentle parenting was like
an actual
like
term.
an actual thing,
Absolutely, yeah.
like LGBT.
Yeah.
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 I didn't know that.
Cute.
I don't. We definitely.
All
I didn't know
of
that
it,
as well.
LGBTQ.
All of them.
I didn't know. So with that, it's when I'm being mindful or when I'm looking at different things, it's like, okay, with the whole gentle parenting thing, I just totally lost my train of thought.
So how?
It's mainly because I gotta really use the bathroom. I'm trying.
Hey man.
I've been
On
holding
that
it
note,
about
So okay, we're gonna wrap up. But I do want to ask this because we're hearing about the red marks on the paper.
Yeah.
We're hearing about y'all said something so powerful, parenting to empower. Like, I don't even think I ever heard that. You know what I'm saying? Like, that was a pretty
it
big
is.
statement. You know what I'm
They
saying? So for parents who are watching, I know something that most of us deal with is the fear of when our children are away from us. Like, we parent through fear. We don't want them to go outside and get into certain things because we're afraid, because so much go on nowadays. So much, everybody on pills, everybody driving, everybody.
going on.
It's a lot going on. So how do we get past the fear part of parenting?
I got a good one for you on this, and this is coming from somebody who has 2 children already out the house and working on the 3rd. You let them go through it while they're in your house. You can control the narrative and navigate through the circumstance if you allow them to make mistakes. I would rather him have taken that drink, and I know this is crazy to say, I would rather him have taken that drink while he's here, where we can control it, versus when he leaves my house and I no longer have any say-so in what he does in his life. I went to Cancun after I graduated. My dad told me I never had a drink in my life until I got to Cancun after I graduated. My dad called my room, and I accidentally had the drink. I didn't even do it on purpose. They had the big slushies, the yard.
Oh yeah, it was going
I
down.
had never had, I'm thinking it's just a slushie. I'm sipping it. I was sitting down. I stood up, and the room started spinning.
Oh my
The
Immediately.
worst feeling.
The room is
worst.
spinning. It was not a bad feeling. I was a whole different person. I'm laughing. I livened up. I became a whole. Cancun was forever different from that point. After that,
Right.
I got on the phone with my dad. My dad called me, woke me up out my sleep, and the first thing he said when I said hello. First thing he said was, "You wait all the way till you get to Cancun to start drinking." I know that put fear in him.
Yes.
I'm in a whole nother country.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
I'm in a whole nother country.
Yeah.
He can't get to me. And he said it. He said, "Jay, be careful." He said, because if you go to jail or something happens to you there, it's going to be hard for me to get to you.
Yeah.
And
That's major.
to this day, I think about that. So my kids have been very transparent. Yes, they've tried to have a drink. Yes. Some of them smoke marijuana. I understand. We have these conversations.
Yeah.
Why? But now I noticed that they're no longer desiring the marijuana anymore. They're no longer desiring to drink. None of my children like to drink.
But that's tough, Jay, because on my end of it, it's like, I'm thinking if I introduce it to you,
I'm not introducing. I didn't introduce
We
nothing.
didn't
well,
introduce
even
it.
if I allow it to, if I allow drinks
Right.
in my house.
We don't.
No, we
I'm
don't allow it in
allowing-
our house.
we don't
It's the
allow
same
it.
thing.
So, all right, so I need clarity.
They
I
go
need
to a
clarity.
party,
So they go out to
So
a
because we
party.
said while you're in my house, I'd rather you do it. So
Right.
we need
So
So
clarity.
they're
Right.
living.
There you go.
They live with us.
Right.
They live with
Still.
us. We can get to them if something
Okay, so
happens.
meaning you
Okay.
still have easy access
There
to them.
you go.
There
So
we
when
go.
they make
There
the
we go.
mistake, we can talk about
There it
it
is.
in the
The
house.
house.
So absolutely,
There
let me
it
clear that
is.
up.
Okay.
No, I'm not
We
allowing my
not-
kids
yeah.
to do this in my house.
No.
What I'm saying is they've been to parties when
Yeah.
there was alcohol.
That makes sense.
These
Gotcha.
kids are now getting Airbnbs
Yeah.
and hotel rooms. Their parents are getting them for them.
Yep.
And they're having their older friends buy liquor
Yep.
and bring them to the party.
Gotcha.
They got everything you need at your beck and call. I'm not a fool to believe that when my child leaves my house and say, "Hey, Dad, I'm going out with my friends," or with my friends, he's not going to end up or she's not going to end up at a party like that.
Right.
Like, it's a possibility
Yeah.
that happens. What I did was I opened the door for when they come home, they're allowed to tell me about it.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And not
Okay.
feel like
So the
they're
communication
judged.
part
Yeah.
of it.
Not
Yeah.
feel like
Gotcha.
they're going to get in trouble.
Yeah.
What it did give me was the opportunity to educate them
Yep.
on what could happen if you do this, what could happen if you do that, and the different effects. And now I'm harping on, hey, don't get addicted to that.
Right.
Yes, sir.
Listen, you can become dependent upon that.
Yeah.
Don't do that.
Yeah.
Like, stay away from it. Hey,
I mean,
slow down.
Even when you mentioning that, Jay, it reminds me of when I was coming up. My father never had to tell me, "Say no to drugs, son."
Gotcha.
He never had to say it to me
Right.
because my father made it a point to point to it and say, "I don't have to tell you. You see that.
Yeah, you see what's going on.
You see that.
Yep.
You see that. And these were things that were very close in my proximity.
Yeah.
Right.
I see the effects.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I grew up feeling like drugs were not a friend of mine.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Like
I think we all did.
drugs,
You know.
like it was that Nightmare on Elm Street for me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But yeah, man. So just those lines of communication.
That's the biggest thing.
It,
you know
man.
what I'm saying? So I don't mean, hey, go let your kids do drugs. Don't go let you.
Yeah, of
but what I'm
course.
saying
Yeah.
is, if they do decide to try it or they make the mistakes in that manner, be willing and open to communicate on it, educate them on it, and pray that they do it while they're still under your thumb. Because if they do it outside of you, ain't no telling what's gonna happen.
Yeah.
Real deal.
I agree.
Listen, man. That's been another amazing conversation, guys. Family by
Yep.
choice. We want to invite everybody in. Make sure you join this family, man. Stay tuned.